Hello everyone who are watching us in the archived version. We're a little bit late, apologies for this. The man who's sitting next to me needs no introduction. I talked about him in the past few streams. I like to refer to Boris Gelfand as the challenger for the world championship, the vice champion. And to many Israelis here, we would consider him the true champion. And yes, the game has already started, so first, welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here.
And let's see the moves from the game. So, first of all, Carlsen is playing with the black pieces, and the result is now even, 5-5. So Carlsen played e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. So far, nothing new.
Yeah, pretty predictable. They play the Rui Lopez the whole match, and it's quite predictable, especially after the loss in game 10. I did believe that Karyakin would play solid chess, yeah, and go for chance if he'll be given, but basically he wouldn't take too much risk.
Yes.
And probably it's a right strategy he applies in the match. Yeah, he just plays normal chess, solid as possible, and all the pressure is on Magnus, basically, and he used it at game 8.
Yes. So this is right now the position we have on the board in the actual game. And I just want to mention, if I remember correctly, that in the previous games, here Magnus played knight a5 with black, just like Aronian usually plays, followed by bishop e6, and they had a completely different type of game.
Game 2, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Game 2.
And then it was very interesting, but quite harmless from theoretical point of view. After d4, bishop takes a2, rook takes a2. This rook was a little bit misplaced. This time, Carlsen, even though he equalized, he is playing something different. He played bishop e6, which is the most popular line. And now knight d5, and knight d4 is one of, I think, is also the main move now. Now knight takes d4, e takes d4, and these moves are very common in this position. I studied it once for black. I'm not an expert here, but so far it's more or less forced for black. And here Karyakin just played the move f4. So
is it a new move or Dominguez and
I think bishop d2 was played in the...
No, queen g4, I remember.
Queen g4 was played in the game between Dominguez and Fiedler.
But I think then Caruana played very precise. I remember I saw this game. He played very quickly. I think he analyzed it. It's he entered some pretty forced line.
So f4 was played only once before between Gopal and Sophie Emilie.
Sophie Emilie, yeah.
Yes. So
also, everything. 15, yeah. 15, yeah. As the games were in 13, yeah.
Yes, so this is a relatively new game, but so far nothing too dramatic. We don't have a novelty just yet. Black is thinking, as far as I can see.
I think probably we should look at this position and just to discuss what position appeared on the board and what plans both sides have, and the strong and weak points of white's position and black's position.
Yes. So as I read once in a New in Chess magazine, some analysis after the move queen g4, I believe it might have been by Dominguez himself, and he claimed that this position after, I think it was queen e7 and then some bishop d2 followed by c3, that even though computer gives equality, that he prefers white in this type of structure. I can't say I understand too much what's going on, but yeah, this doesn't...
I wouldn't be too worried if I would play c3 and take. I wouldn't be too worried with black. Of course, it's easier to play with white.
Yes.
But I don't think. Maybe if we have time, if Magnus is still playing, or he played already.
He played c5, right?
But still, maybe we take time and have a look in this Dominguez game and the LIKE game, so to see more ideas what had happened, and there to see how Dominguez had won and how Caruana had neutralized White's advantage.
Okay, so Dominguez against Wheeler, he played
A4.
He played A4 in 2013.
Very interesting. The best tournament in Dominguez' career, yeah, Thessaloniki 13, yeah.
A4 was played. Actually, I didn't know it, and yeah, but he still played very well since then, I assume. Yeah, with maintaining his rating.
No.
A4.
He's a very good player, but okay, normally he plays well. He's a very good player, but this tournament he made +5 or something.
And he won the Grand Prix.
Won Grand Prix tournament, yeah. No, of course he's world-class player. He's very strong and solid player.
Yes, and this was more or less the same structure.
Yeah.
Now he played Queen G4. So right now this is not the game, in case anyone is wondering. This is the game from 2013 between Dominguez and Svidler. And now Queen F7 and Bishop D2, C4. And I'm not sure if this is the game that Dominguez was commenting about in the article, but I remember that he claimed that this position, White, is has some strategical...
yeah, but here it's we can see it's easier to play with White because, okay, Black played C4, but in fact he just weakened his position. He didn't get enough counterplay, and now Bishop attacks D6. So I think the most trouble of this position with Black that looks innocent, but basically, and with everyone would agree that with precise play, Black shouldn't have problem. But Black has to make a accurate move, move after move, and this is not so easy in practical game, especially now in the World Championship match. The tension is high, so probably very good choice from Karyakin. Let's see the game maybe till the end because
the game until the end.
Yeah,
so Rook takes A8.
Probably I remember it was very instructive game.
Yeah, and it didn't last very long actually.
Yeah.
So here Dominguez with White played F4, and then Svidler went Rook A2, E5, H5 was played, and if I remember correctly, it was already a step in the wrong direction. Yeah, now he just won a pawn.
Yeah.
Rook takes E2, and Rook A1, and he had already...
Yeah, now he's in trouble because, okay, mating attack, Rook joined an attack, yeah?
Yes, Queen B7, and then Queen E8, and...
Yeah, now it's things are...
I repeated once, and then went F5,
yeah.
B3, C takes B3, Queen E8, King H7. Okay, repeated once more.
Play, but it's clear that White are...
Yes, and White was winning.
White's attack is more quick. Rook F1 is a
yes.
nice move, yeah, okay, because, okay...
Threatening F7.
No, also mentally you used to get the open line, but here you see...
But they just made a quiet move, threatening F7, and after Rook F7, once again a quiet move. And Svidler resigned. There is mate in 3, and very difficult to prevent. So
beautiful attack.
Yes, and this is one of the many examples of how it can go wrong in this structure.
Yes. If you have time, if Karyakin is thinking, he made
I think he made a move. Queen G4, so let's go back to the game. F4, C5, now Karyakin played Queen G4.
And when someone would think, I think we should look at Leko Caruana game to see how Black should play in this position, to see the way top player showed in as Black side.
Yes.
Maybe we do it now and then we return because soon they'll start thinking and we'll have all the time to discuss the position.
By the way, I have a practical question regarding this type of structures. It was extremely popular in top level in 2013. Then suddenly people stopped playing it, and I didn't see anyone of high level playing this line with White until today, actually. So, is there an objective reason that people stopped playing such things, or is it just fashion?
I do believe it's fashion. Probably, I don't know. I don't play this opening, but what phenomenon I noticed recently is that it's possible to find more and more new ideas because many moves are proved to be playable. So players normally try to surprise and play something new, just to surprise, because here probably they felt that type of position, you see that they have to be accurate with black.
Yes.
Then somehow mentally nowadays it's not popular.
Yeah.
I personally see no problem if position is slightly worse, I have to defend, but many people have a problem with it, so they try to find arrow. Thank you. And many also black has many options, like after bishop b3 he played castle h3 d5 in game what?
Oh yeah.
7 or what it was?
Oh, you mean
no, not castle, but here. Here, castled.
Yes.
h3 d5. It game what?
I don't remember by name, by move.
Okay, one of the games.
Yeah.
Another game. Here he played d6 sub. I think it's
it was actually with the rook on e1 already.
rook on e1. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So it was rook e1.
Rook e1. No. It was another system. I got confused. Sorry.
Yeah, the marshal, anti-marshal.
Anti-marshal. Yeah. So this d3.
Yes. So
I may tell a story how it became popular if it's interesting. Yeah.
Sure.
Because in 1993, Kasparov was preparing for a match against Nigel Short, a championship match, and he went to Efim Geller, who was already very old, but he is like a person who made the big foundation of the opening analysis. And Geller was old already. I think he passed away in a few years. In '98, I think he passed away. And he said, everyone plays open Rui Lopez, but pay attention to the slow play d3 and a3. And Kasparov used it in the match. He won a very beautiful game against Short. And since then it became very fashionable, especially because it allows to avoid marshal attack, where, White so far failed to prove anything.
And I remember reading the same story in your book, and I'll just show it for the viewers at home. So it's this one, and I actually asked Boris to sign the book for me afterwards.
I would do it. I would have a short break.
Yes, and I wanted to mention that if he wasn't here with me, I would probably search while waiting for the next move the actual quote and say it myself, because I remember just reading the same lines. And you mentioned that this this system is still popular 15 years later.
15 years later. And this is trademark of Geller. Whatever he played, it's not for one game, but the system he found it played for decades.
Yes,
it's really
they pass the test of time.
Pass test of time. It's an extremely good feeling of which direction to look in the opening. Of course, nowadays computer, in a way, makes this quality less important. Because many things are playable, but still, his vision is really deep and amazing. I think. I don't think anyone, maybe from modern players, Kramnik only, who can. Be happy.
I heard one player who's not too strong, but a grandmaster once mentioned to me that he has a superstition. Of course, I won't name any names.
Yeah, of course.
He mentioned once that he has a superstition that if Mikhail Tal played an opening against the principal line, that it should be good somehow in a mystic way, and he would follow the same opening even if the computer says it's equal. And usually it would work out because just the opponents are not prepared for a line that's not so popular.
Yeah, but you have to have ability of Tal.
Yeah, of course.
Because I remember I played the game against a much weaker opponent, and in Sicilian he sacrificed the piece on e6 incorrectly, and in like 10 moves he resigned. And after the game he asked me, but wouldn't be afraid to play this position, you would play against Tal. And I said, this position is the worst version of the sacrifice,
Yes.
More complicated version probably.
Yes.
I would, but
I feel like I have the ability of Tal, but not the right one most of the time.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's have some questions from the
Yeah,
crowd here.
Yes, sure.
In case we didn't mention, we are recording in front of a live audience right here. But please ask the questions in English since we have some viewers online who... so anyone wants to ask something? By a raise of hand or something?
About the position, about
The position on the board, as you can see right now.
the World Championship battle, everything.
So what is playable for black here?
Well, black have to defend e6 pawn. He would defend by queen. I don't think he would play e5.
Mm-hmm.
What about rook e8?
Rook e8, it's possible, but I think rook is excellently placed on f8. While if he would defend by queen, he would be able probably to put another rook to e8 if necessary.
And perhaps double the rooks.
D7 is the most natural also because a4, okay, we will be able to take.
Which move? Sorry.
If you play queen d7,
Yes.
you also cover a4.
Ah,
If queen e7, maybe a4 like Dominguez
yes. And
could be of interest.
yes.
Because black have to think how to react to a4 basically. Because if you b4 it would be a concession, white would be able to put also pieces to another flank, and if to play, because black wants to keep an option to go c4 and get counterplay certain moment. On the other hand, he has to defend e6 pawn.
Yes.
But basically what I think generally is that okay, it's a bit early to talk, but I think an excellent choice by Karyakin, and I'm not sure it's a good choice from Magnus.
Yes.
Because okay, if he knows what to do, it's okay. But okay, composition can, as we saw in Swidler's game, can become unpleasant.
Yes.
Black has to know what to
What to do exactly.
Actually, I'm not happy of Magnus's choice in the previous black game.
Mm-hmm.
Because also he played very quickly this
We
new
show the viewers.
Arkhangelsk,
I think it was round 9.
round 9, but
Yes,
then
this
okay.
variation.
Yeah, but then okay, he got in position where white has no risk,
Yes.
and Magnus have to defend very precisely.
Yes.
And okay, he defended, he is fantastic player, but still, how the game went, and he didn't have a single winning chance.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm afraid the same happening today. I don't see any winning chances for black. I'm not sure. I don't play Rui Lopez. Probably it's very difficult to. No, it's a previous one. It's very difficult in Rui Lopez to find position which can be played for all three results.
Yes.
Magnus managed in game 4, yeah.
Yes.
In game 4 he got complicated game and he got really great position after the opening.
That's true.
But next games he so far fails.
And another question? Sure.
Yeah.
Can you show the game position?
Yes. In a
Actual
moment.
position, yeah, which is on the board, yeah.
Yes. For some reason I lost the moves, but I will just retrieve them
Yeah.
very quickly.
It's easy.
In the meantime, I'll mention something about the position that I wanted to ask Boris, if I may.
Yeah.
Here, okay, I'll just get to the position before
Yeah,
asking.
yeah.
So
No, F4 he started.
F4 is started, and then
C5.
C5, Queen G4. So Carlsen is still thinking. So I work quite a lot with the computer engines when analyzing
Yeah.
openings. But usually, from my experience, I didn't analyze this specific position, but it will usually show 0-0.
Yeah.
And many strong players say that this position is practically better for white or more challenging for black to play. And I believe them, and this is why I think that the same, but I don't fully understand it myself as an average grandmaster, I would say. And my question is, how do I analyze such positions if I want to improve my opening play? Because the computers are not helpful,
Yeah.
and assuming that there are not a lot of games being played by top players.
yeah.
So how to analyze it properly? If I prepare, let's say, for a tournament game or for let's say, just generally analyzing the
Yeah.
opening.
I think it's a very good question, and we should make here, let's say, tell between two things. One position, computer shows 0.0, but it's tactical position. Then you can analyze by yourself, go deeper in the lines, or such a position where it's positional game, where it's really difficult without by alone and without computer basically assessment. I think a good idea would be to play some training games with someone of your level, or through a site, or if you have someone you can play.
What time control?
I normally play like 15 plus 10. Okay, if you play only with one color, okay, play with one color. If you can play with both colors, play like 3-4 games with different colors, then you would see much easier the problems. You would see if you like this position, if you really believe it's equal, or you really think it's... I do believe it's the only way, because, okay, maybe computer shows first 10 lines is 0.0, yeah? Also possible. So it's very time wasting to go move. It's not a move after move. One should analyze,
should feel the position.
Yes. And this is kind of position. I know, for example, that what I heard, that players like Veselin Topalov or Petr Leko, with each opening they play some training games. I think it's a bit too much. Some position, okay, with your experience, you know how to play, basically. You cannot analyze everything. But such position where, actually, it's very difficult to say what's the plans for both sides, a lot of finesses. So, if you play with a player of your level, nowadays there are possibilities, You can log on to many sites and find or ask your friend to play with you,
And is it preferable to play over the board physically with a wood chess set?
I think the scientists who work with children and basically said that whenever you make an actual move, it sticks better with your memory rather than when you press a button. For example, when I analyze, and especially after this, when I try to remember a wise, I always try to play on the board. It sticks in your memory much better. And there is Yuri Rozovai, famous trainer, taught me, and then I read some scientific paper about it, because it's a motoric or things like this. It's better.
It's one of these advices that I hear so often, and I've known it since I was 12, but applied it. I will probably start applying it in a few years when I'll finally be disciplined enough, because it's so tempting to just do it, to play on blitz or rapid over the board in the internet.
When you play, it's one thing, but I tell when you analyze, especially when you try to stick in when you play, the point is when you play with someone over the line, you have to play on the internet. So probably it's applicable. If you play with a friend in a club or you play at home with a friend, it's another story. But when you try to remember, I think it's with me it helps. Really helps when you really. So on most of the tournament, I get a board, and before the game, I try to go through some.
And I also wanted to mention, maybe I'm not an expert in science, of course, but the fact that we apply, there's not only brain memory, there's also muscle memory. And I sense sometimes that, for example, growing up, I played with the Sveshnikov my entire life, and my hands would just play these moves even after I studied different openings. Whenever I would play blitz, I would just play the opening moves without even realizing I'm doing it. And I would have to be very careful at the first move at every tournament game, not to play c5 by accident if I prepared another first move. And
it's engraved in your memory.
And also, for example, I believe that if you use other senses, other than seeing, you can hear the pieces on the board, you can hear the actual wood, you can smell the pieces. You can remember it much better.
Also, let's say association. If the move is associated with something, then it's very good. Then it's very good. And I think we missed 2 questions already.
Oh, yes.
So you wanted a...
So this is the position on the board right now?
Yeah, queen d7 as we predicted, yeah.
Yes.
If you could explain a bit about your process of thought, how to proceed, either with white or with black. What is the essence of this position? What is...
Yeah, it's a good question, and as we saw, we are quite lost, yeah, because white has many plans and many finesses. One of the plans white can play, I think bishop d2 is the most natural move in my opinion, yeah?
Yes.
Because, okay,
developing
pieces, and then probably rook f3, rook f1, put piece attack, or maybe rook e1 and e5, I don't know if it's really dangerous or not.
Yeah, it's one of the plans,
Yeah.
I believe. And I have another question, but first let's take another one from the crowd.
When d7 here was played, it's probably a horse move, intuitively feels so, but can you explain about a move like e5, or advancing the pawn to e5?
Yes. e5, I would be afraid that white will, let's say, but first of all, would check on e6.
Yeah, but what does it give?
It gives control on the white squares. And then maybe a4, try to create another weakness.
This square is very juicy for
Yes,
the queen.
yes. If queen e7, we would
Yes.
retrieve to queen to d5.
Mhm.
And then we see what black does. If you would, as we said, if you would close with b4, then okay, it gives us a free hand. We would play f5, queen d5, and start an attack on this side.
Especially when white light score bishop, black light score
Yes,
bishop goes,
yes.
the queen will be very frontal.
Yes, even after f takes e5, position would be not that pleasant. d5, rook goes to f5, bishop to d2, another rook to f1. I think it's kind of concession because it gives white a full control on the white squares.
Yes.
I think it's too big concession. Actually, this move should be done only if black has no choice, but black has quite a choice.
Yes.
Maybe later he'll be able to play it when he would put rook in the game, he would play c4 already, when white won't be able to penetrate with a queen through e6 to d5.
Yes. So, any more questions so far? So, I'll ask another one. So, I've noticed that two classical d4 players at the top level, like yourself and Kramnik, sometimes in rapid or blitz events play e4.
Yeah.
And I always had this this belief that even though you never really played in classical games, you still understand the classics and these positions better than the average grandmaster who is very young, let's say, and analyzes with computers and so on. And I'm wondering if it's because you're just generally very strong, or if you actually studied Karpov games and other classics in the Rui Lopez growing up and so on. Of course, I'm asking about yourself, not Kramnik at this point.
Yeah.
But
no, I think it's a bit similar because you know when actually I played e4 till age of 15 or something, and then I quit. Probably the same happened with Kramnik more or less, and then we played d4. But in 2002, 2003, something like this, actually we worked together on e4. We analyzed together, and we played, and it went with pretty mixed success. Basically, I lost some games in this system of Rui Lopez. I lost to Shirov and Adams, while Kramnik was keeping losing Naidorfs to Topalov. So we kind of abandoned. Okay, I had some good games in Sicilian, but against Rui Lopez didn't go. And with Kramnik it went to. But I think it's a big advantage to be able to play both. And I think I have some basic knowledge, and I can play, but still, it's a real decision if you play both or you play, let's say, only closed openings. It's a serious decision. It has advantages and disadvantages.
yes.
And very often asked why I don't play e4 more often. Maybe it's a good question, or
Well,
it's a good question. But of course, some position you have some basic knowledge, but certainly you have to know many lines and many openings. There is some so much theory that you should learn in you. And also, I can explain why it's a good idea to be able to play both. Because if you prepare to certain opponent, very often you find that, okay, he's very well prepared against d4, while much worse against e4.
Happens very often, especially in my level.
Yes, very often. And on the level. So it gives you more choice. But also it's more demanding, but requires you more...
It's like speaking two languages in a way.
Yes. Exactly. Ah, but F5 he played, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, he played.
Do you think he's still in preparation?
What? Let's see what's the time consumption, if you can
I think he thought for 5 minutes or so.
No, but what's generally?
Well, I don't have the direct clock.
Go to chess 24.
Yeah, but there are a little bit of issues that I just want to be extra careful.
Okay.
The clock. Usually, apologize, but I ask the viewers in the chat to tell me the clock situation, and they
problem.
share it. So, yeah.
But maybe we can more or less say that he didn't spend too much time.
Actually, yeah.
Could be still in preparation.
Karyakin, I think, has about. Okay, so we can take the information and trust our crowd here. So 134.
So Karyakin's definitely in
134 versus 120 in favor of Karyakin by the clock.
So definitely Karyakin is his preparation. It's ready.
And just in case someone doesn't know the time control, they start with 1 hour and 40 minutes. And
strategic idea of F5.
just one moment, 1 hour and 40 minutes. And they have 30 seconds increment until the end of the game. The rest we'll mention later if they manage to reach move 40. What was the question?
What is the strategic idea of F5, like opening the bishop on C1?
Yeah, actually what we discussed, one thing is what we discussed before. That if he would play E5, he poses a question, because there are basically 2 or 3 possible, one E5, then I think he would play something like bishop G5, and start to try an attack with rook f3, rook f1, there, and black have to defend.
Very passively.
Yes, also because c4, okay, he can open line, but...
It's like the King's Indian almost.
Almost, yeah, really King's Indian.
Reversed.
Yeah.
King flag majority right now is for white. Is meaningful now?
It can tell at certain moments.
So e5 would be an inaccuracy from a human point of view. By the way, if anyone wonders, we don't look at any engine evaluations throughout the stream. Rook a8.
Also, may I say that if after f5 he would take with pawn on f5?
Yes.
Probably rook would take.
Yes.
And then white would try to put pressure on f line.
Yes, probably bishop somewhere and then
bishop
rook
somewhere,
f1.
rook f1, yeah.
Yes, and black has very difficult time finding an active plan on the queen side, and white definitely can improve.
No, but rook 8 it's a right move because, okay, he makes a useful move, and later on he can decide what to do. Because, let us return. Sure. He played bishop g5 played?
No, this is the position.
This is the position.
We have.
Rook 8.
Yes, this one.
Because if you play bishop g5, maybe Karyakin would be in time to take on g5, to take on f5, and then okay. If he takes his pawn on rook e5, and okay, already
quite active.
White have to play g4, which is not
a concession.
Kind of concession. And if he would take with rook on f5,
then we exchange.
Okay, we exchange. It's already okay. Main dangers are gone, yeah.
Indeed, and yeah, probably you can already go with the rook to e2, or offer the exchange of queens, and the rook endgame is not as dangerous without the queens. So now bishop g5 would be an inaccuracy. So so let's try to predict the next move. I think bishop d2 would make sense, but well, it's not so easy. Every time I try to predict with Karyakin, he seems to play a more flexible move than what I suggest.
Yeah, no, it's his style. He tries to keep the options open. keep all the options open.
Reminds me of Karpov in a way.
Yeah.
And
But I think Carlsen's more like Karpov style, yeah?
yeah, both, but
Yeah.
I mean from different angles.
Yes, yes.
Just for me, Karpov is associated with playing a move that the opponent doesn't expect.
Yeah.
Even when the position is seems quite obvious. And well, I can give an example.
Yeah,
So
okay.
from one of
It's very
the
good.
earlier rounds, I believe it was one of the first rounds. Let me see if I can. No, it's not this one. Maybe this is the first game. So this. So I believe it was actually this one. Somewhere around.
Yeah.
No, actually.
Actually, strange for me why Carlsen doesn't repeat this system.
Yeah.
Now
the
today
Marshall.
D3 he played. Now today he played
no,
D3.
he didn't get it. But after D3 you can still. No, probably.
No, different.
Yeah, cannot
But
force it.
then he played the because I think it's
Just I'll see one. No, this is not the right
no,
game.
No, no.
I don't remember. Carson was black, so it probably was one of these games. Probably game number 4 when he was pressing.
Yeah, because
So-
here okay, it was all more or less analysis. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll just show it on the board because I can't find where I put it
Okay.
in this board. But as far as I remember, they had this opening, rook e1, I believe. Something when Carlsen played knight c4 later on. I think it was something like this. Something along these lines. And for castles, let's say h3, d6, d3.
No,
Ah.
D3 because
No, sorry.
no, something. No, maybe D3 without rook e1 because.
Oh yeah.
or
No,
not.
but the point was that Karyakin played Carlsen with black played knight c4 at some point.
Mhm.
It was actually the game we mentioned earlier where they had this anti-marshal, and I'll find it later. But Karyakin was expected to play b3
Yeah.
and harass the knight,
Yeah.
but instead he just simply waited with rook e1
Yeah.
and so on, and he wouldn't play the obvious move that you'd expect from him. So let me see. For some reason, I have to input the moves from the beginning again. Doesn't save it, but I actually have another small question that comes from a quote that you put in your book about Petrosian. By the way, Karyakin is still thinking in the same position. So the quote was one of the two big major advice that you received from Petrosian when he was mentoring
Yeah,
you. It was something along this line. You should think about each move, even in blitz.
Yes.
And when I saw this position yesterday,
Yeah.
2 days ago in the previous round, when Karyakin played d5 quite rapidly.
45 seconds.
Yes, and someone I heard even saying 25, but
I was
didn't
told.
see.
I was told.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't follow the stream, but the actual game. But the thing is that immediately when he did it, I wasn't aware of the
Yeah.
draw. But when
Yeah.
I heard about it later, I realized that he probably didn't remember the advice from your book, because
He got it.
I'm sure he read it.
He read it. He
Yeah,
read it.
yeah. So you know it for a fact. Yeah. So
I
this
know
is
because his second asked me to send, so he'll be able to read. And I asked Jakob Ogor to send it.
nice.
I'm sure Carlson also read, yeah.
Nice. So.
But actually, it's a good question because I'm not sure it's a draw. Actually, in the
So-
Wesley Saw made a very interesting comments today. I read today in Chess Bay site. He annotated game.
So
Yes.
first, before showing the variations, just he
Yeah.
played d5 quite quickly, and he made the tactical oversight. Whether it's a draw or not, we'll see.
Yeah.
But the point is that he had only one moment in the entire
Yeah.
game of
Yeah.
lack of concentration. This was
Yes.
his biggest chance.
Yes.
Okay, so first, from what I remember, if King G2,
Yes.
there's Knight H4 check.
Yes.
And now the point is that after there are two legal moves. First of all,
Yes.
if King G1, then we get the draw by repetition.
Yes.
and if gh4 it's bad for white because of queen g6 check,
Yes.
and therefore king g1 was forced.
King g1 is forced. If you
Now-
want to go on,
Now once again, if king h1, knight f2 is draw, so if white wants to continue,
yes.
he has
King
to go
g2.
here. And now what did Wesley so mention?
Knight f4. Actually, okay, is that what Karyakin said on press conference? Takes?
Karyakin said that he thought that this is maybe good for white. In other words, maybe he trusted
Yes, and knight c2.
Magnus. Knight c2.
And
e5,
Wesley,
for example.
Wesley actually makes a point that probably e5 is a threat already. White,
white.
threatens e5, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
black
e5.
e5 and queen g4.
Yes.
And he believes it's well, computers gives advantage to black, but Wesley believes that it's a game for 3 results.
Wow.
Actually, we can read, anyone can read actually. I wouldn't quote him, don't remember what he said exactly. But actually, many points in this game, he put from a new angle, and he showed some possibilities also for Carlsen to get a much better advantage, and
Yes.
pointed out many interesting things. And this position actually, probably it's true that I think it's probably psychologically, it's one of, first of all, 45 seconds.
Yes.
It's too little, but Karyakin spent too much time before. I was really felt he would need this time later, because somewhere, okay, between moves like 10 and
right
15,
Yes.
he was thinking 10 minutes per move and things like this. Yeah.
I know.
Done. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So here it's a game for 3 results. That's quite a useful thing to know. And
I'm sure that Carlsen would go for it.
yes, I would
He
like.
wouldn't accept a draw, and
Even though in the press conference he said he would, but I'm
Yeah.
sure he would think and
he
then
would think. Yeah.
and then realize.
But what's surprising that if you go one move earlier,
Yes.
no.
You mean before all the sequence?
Yeah, one move earlier. Yeah, here.
Knight g1.
No.
Or-
Here, Magnus knight 2 is an only move, and Magnus spent minutes on it. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but he'll do it quickly.
Yeah. By the way, I'd like to mention that back in my own stream, I analyzed knight g1 and I completely missed this idea of knight h4, which here actually wins for black.
Yeah,
So I had another international master with me, and we both missed this idea while analyzing for a few minutes. So it's far from obvious that this tactic, even though it's quite simple, knowing there is a tactic, in the heat of the game, it's not so easy to see everything all the time.
Also, I want to add one thing that, okay, it was quite game, yeah? So this is the most difficult to see.
Yes.
That to see tactical sequence
Yes.
in midst of a quiet game, yeah? Because if you play, let's say, sharp Sicilian, you're looking for these possibilities.
Yes.
While if you play this Rui Lopez, yeah, this quite Rui Lopez, then okay, then your mindset is on like maneuvering and quiet position. And
Yes. I'm trying to input the game in the meantime.
but in the let's return and see.
Yeah.
Also, Ram, I'm sorry, quickly, yeah, Karyakin didn't spend much time either, yeah. Did Karyakin play this game move quickly, Bishop D2?
6 minutes.
6 minutes, okay.
5 minutes.
Okay. So probably he still more or less knows what he is doing, yeah?
Yes.
Now,
I noticed. Yes.
now Carlsen can play d5.
Yes.
Style lot of exchanges.
So Karyakin played bishop d2. In case you see with an engine, please don't mention any lines, and if not, feel free. Just we don't want to be
Yes.
affected by.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm speaking on my behalf, of course. So
I do agree completely.
yes.
Otherwise, we would be explaining computer moves rather than
Yeah, and
What's
what's the
going
point
on?
of having us?
What's the
We're
point?
just
Yes.
puppets.
yes.
So we would like to be intelligent puppets, at least. So here, bishop d2 was played, and another practical question that I wanted to ask. Sometimes seems like Karyakin is prepared till move 20 or more, but he still takes 3-4 minutes at move 12, 13, and so on. And I remember also my coach Ilya Botvinnik used to tell me the same, that it's a good idea to concentrate, and even if I know the right move, to try to ask myself why to play it. So is it a good practical idea, or is it a waste of time to think for 4 minutes if I already know which move to play?
I think you have to find the balance. First of all, okay, if you blitzge, first of all, if you think, maybe you find an idea, you ask yourself a question, maybe you wouldn't play it now,
Yes.
but then you would come back to it, and then you can play it in next game.
Yes.
On the other hand, also you can, if you take some time to think, it has an advantage that, thank you, that you kind of get inside the game, because one of the very dangerous things for me, for many players, okay, you prepared, you play instantly your preparation, and then with the first move you have to make by your own, you make a mistake.
I agree.
Because your mindset...
Story of my life.
Yes, you're not... mindset, it's not on thinking yet. Yeah, you have to warm up. And if you start thinking slowly,
Yes.
and it would help you. Another thing, you may know that some, let's say, vision of position. Yeah, you look at the position and you see some pattern, some which you would use in your calculation, and while the game proceeds.
Yes.
That so it's useful. On the other hand, if you spend too much time, that can be useful when you're really thinking.
Yes.
So I would, if you spend minute or two or something, it's fine.
Sometimes it happened to me that I prepared a move and I know somewhat forced line until move, let's say 25.
Yeah.
And it's move 15, and I ask myself, why am I playing this move? I don't understand the logic behind it, and I also, more importantly, don't understand what I do in reply for a move I didn't analyze, which the computer probably gives +1 for me.
Yes.
But I feel like I'm worse.
Exactly.
And usually I'm right also most of the time, but still I have to find the right way. And I found myself sometimes like making another move just because I didn't understand why to play the move I had prepared. And I'm not sure if it's I mean, how to avoid it? This is probably my question. I was thinking what I'm asking.
No, actually, maybe it's correct decision. I think if you, I can tell you that when I played World Championship with Anand, in the only game I won, in Game 7, we found a very interesting idea in Slav.
Yes.
Maybe we can show on the board.
Yes, sure.
If you
I was
have time,
about to suggest. So let me see. Just as a challenge for myself.
Yeah.
If I can remember. So let's see. So it started
A6.
A6 first, yeah?
No.
Or
Actually, I
E6?
played knight c3, knight f6, e3.
Yes.
I use this move order, and here
And now
we go
A6 and knight f3, E6,
Knight f3,
queen C2, knight
No.
or B3.
No.
Here's it was C5 first, yeah.
C5, knight bd7, and here the
And now
trick
queen
idea is queen c2
Exactly.
to keep on the options open. Is c5, b6.
B6
Yes, takes.
takes, and now we took
I
with
think no.
the knight.
It is c5, bishop
C5
d2,
is what I remember.
bishop d2, knight b6,
Yeah. Yes.
rook c1.
Yes.
He took on d4, and played bishop d6. Yeah, I think no, or bishop d7. No, what he played.
I will look it up in a minute. Yeah, but I just want to mention at this point that something I mentioned already many times in the past, that one of the toughest areas in chess, even at the top level, even though I haven't been there, just heard it, is move orders in the opening.
Move orders, it's very tricky.
Even when you know it, you don't really always understand it.
Yes.
And,
It's, especially nowadays, with a lot of theory, many players try to, by move order, to deviate your opponent from known territory to unknown, and to put new problem. And also what I would return to what you said about thinking its opening, that very often you analyze some lines and they're very similar. So very
Yes,
easy
exactly.
to, you have to think, just to have a clear picture that you play this against this and this against this. So if you spend like few minutes, it's normal.
Yes, I also used to make this mistake that instead of making the moves with the physical mouse to make the piece move, I would press the space bar, and it will be the same physical movement for every move. So there won't be any
difference.
logical connection between the positions that look similar. So pressing the space bar, I think, is one of the worst diseases.
Worst function. We should ask maybe to disable it.
Yes, exactly. Maybe there is an option like this. I'll probably, if I'll find it, I'll make a video about it. So here we have this game, and no, sorry, this is not the right version. Anand was white here, so probably this one. So
rook c1 takes, bishop d6.
So
and here it's very interesting moment.
Yes, bishop d6.
Because we analyzed this queen c2, we found all this idea, many options, and in the morning my seconds told me that knight a4 computer shouts it's much better, the best move.
You mean here after bishop d6, knight a4? Oh,
Yes.
I remember reading it somewhere. Did you write it in your positional book? The previous one.
Yes, the previous one.
So knight a4.
Knight a4.
Yeah. And takes.
Takes, so knight c4 is also possible. But takes, I think bishop d7, queen a5.
Yes.
And some lines, in computer says plus 040 or something.
Yes.
But then, on the way to the game, I thought that, something, I felt something. When I came to the game, I decided that I tried to think.
Yes.
And I played bishop g5.
Yes.
It's tough decision because
No preparation.
No preparation at all. I only use this line after knight a4. That your whole team thinks about works for hours till 7 o'clock in the morning, and you do something against. So if I would lose this game or something, then first of all, or simply in few moves the game would go to. Draw, then they'll be disappointed. All their motivation would be killed.
Yes.
But still, I believe that Dwight's position and won this game.
Yes.
Actually, then I analyzed it and I played bishop d3 in my next game.
And
in a few years I played with Aronia, I played bishop d3 there. But that's when you feel it, you have to go.
Where exactly bishop d3?
No, the same position, move 12.
Move 12.
Move 12.
Okay. Yes. So
bishop d6 and
bishop d3.
I played against Aronia, and also I got slight
Which time
advantage.
control? Classical?
Classical, Alekhine Memorial. So it was slightly better, then slightly worse.
Yeah.
But you have to have feeling. I remember I had many games in my career where I deviated from my preparation and I made some brilliant novelty by feeling.
Yes.
While also when I deviated and I lost.
Yes. It reminds me like this type of feeling. What we mentioned earlier. Probably we didn't mention it yet, but like before game number 8, I believe, I saw on Facebook many different strong players wrote that they have a feeling that today something will happen and that Carlsen will overpush. And they had this very strong feeling about this taking place. And
no, but it was logic behind because all the pressure was on Carlsen.
Exactly.
And also it was clear he didn't get his best form yet. He made so many mistakes for his level in the first game. So it was quite a good chance to make it. So c4,
c4 on the board,
d5 was possible trying to liquidate a bit, but
so
Carlsen wants to keep pressure.
d5 was possible?
Possible, I don't know, we have to calculate. Rook e1 or something. Or f5, rook e1. It's gone already.
It's a little bit scary also when Karakin plays fast, and if you don't know it by heart, to play such a concrete
But Carlsen have a big trust in his calculation.
Yes.
And he has to, and he rightly so,
Yes.
Actually, one of his strongest qualities that not in dynamic position, but when you have to calculate,
Yes.
let's say 3 moves ahead,
Yes.
he never makes an oversight. Very rarely.
Yes.
It's
Even when he
rare.
doesn't know the position by
When
heart.
doesn't know, yeah. I
Yes. He's
talk about
feeling
things.
For the
When
position.
he doesn't know, yeah, this short calculation is incredibly high level.
Yes. Someone who once worked with him told me that he has like this kind of he grasps the position,
Yes.
the opening and the plans
Yes.
without even seeing them very quickly. Whenever he starts working on a position, he can do it. For example, for a normal top grandmaster, that's what I heard at least, it would take a few hours, let's say,
Yeah.
of work just before getting a feeling. He can do it in a few minutes and can already play by the hand some logical moves that are the
Yes.
typical plans in a position you never seen before.
Yes.
It feels almost supernatural in a way.
Yes, but Karpov had the same. Karpov.
Mhm.
Same, but Kasparov had different. His trainer Nikitin told me that very often his first reaction was not correct,
Mm.
but he had incredible possibility to delve very deep into position,
Mm.
and let's say in half an hour he would
Yeah.
understand as deep as no one before, even after
Wow.
did. Yeah,
Especially with no computers
no,
for anyone.
no computer. At the last
Yeah.
period of his career, there were computers, but hard to say. Okay, maybe at deeps 15 or 16, and not that advanced program
Mhm.
they could reach. Yeah.
I heard something that I don't remember if it was in your book or somewhere else, but that Kasparov at some point in the age of computers stopped trusting this ability of his and his feelings.
No, not in mine,
in
I
a way. When he didn't, yeah. So I don't remember who mentioned it, but that like one of his things that might be regrettable that he stopped following his own intuition because he studied the openings with computers so much and he wasn't thinking that he can.
Yeah, he
truly-
lost his. He's like his mentality. He like with all these technical things. He very easily gets excited.
Yes.
And probably it worked against him.
Yes, and so here C4 was played, and well, it starts to remind me a lot of the position we saw between Dominguez and Svidler.
Okay.
If white cannot push a4, so this is probably a plus for Carlsen.
Yeah, big plus.
Yes, but other than this, the bishop can still go to b4,
Yes.
and black still doesn't have any forced way to release the tension.
Yeah.
In
Maybe
a good
bishop
way.
before allows bishop e5,
Mm-hmm.
because now bishop cannot get into
Yeah.
this flank, and then rook f6 is necessary, and
Yeah, and then rook. And there's no bishop g5.
no bishop g5. So probably it's let's put the position, actual position, please.
Yes. So
Maybe
c4.
it's good to think here.
Yeah.
Maybe rook f3. Most natural move is rook f3, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But the point if he has any threats, yeah.
Yeah.
c3 would be a concession for black, I think, yeah.
Yes.
White would take, and bishop would leave. Let's say
So-
put rook f3, yeah, or
Yes.
something.
c3. This is
I
might be a
don't like-
concession for black.
Yes, and bishop goes to e3 somewhere.
Yes.
Okay, now
Mm,
white has a free game.
so yeah, he can go rook f1 next.
Rook
or,
f1 next and go for attack. Actually, probably rook f3 he wants to go for attack. Let's think.
Yeah, rook f3
Prob-
seems like the most logical move.
Yeah, because actually, okay, what other moves he can make?
Yeah.
King h1 is okay.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Usually.
A4 here doesn't go, yeah?
I don't know. Maybe c3 now.
c3 now, or even cd3, cd3.
Yes. And b8.
No, but then fe6.
And then rook a4
Rook
is
F4,
possible.
Yeah, then rook
Yes.
a4, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a4, let's say.
So c3 maybe. Should I take on f5 at some point? Maybe.
But maybe queen f5 already.
Yeah. And
Takes, and b5
A4.
is.
no, a4 is
Maybe a4 is interesting move.
it's possible. Yeah.
And c3, let's check at c3. Because now we'll be able, let's say, take, and then we'll be able to play b4.
b4. Mm-hmm. Let's say, for example, a5. I don't want to allow a5. This pawn can be both strong and weak,
Yeah.
but Yeah. Well, a4 is a very committal decision, and probably it's the reason Karyakin is taking his time now.
Yeah, but here already a game would go for 3 results.
Yes.
Here it's already game gets sharp.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tal, I'll be back with you
Sure.
in 2 minutes, and
No
I'm
problem.
sorry for everyone.
Yes. And here, so let's try to say a few silly things without anyone correcting me for these next 2 minutes about the position, and later we'll test my variations with our expert hero of Israeli chess. So we can also take some questions as well. If anyone wants, you can raise your hand. So yes.
To ask Boris.
Okay, but he will come back later.
Because instead of c4, Carlsen would play d5, trying to get rid of his double opponents with a lot of exchanges, probably very drawish position.
Would you like to ask it when he's back?
Yes, so my question is, does he think that c4 is a winning attempt by Carlsen?
Okay,
Is Carlsen
so
playing for a win now?
I'll let you ask it
Does he avoided
when he comes
c3
back.
d5?
So
c4 unbalances the position.
okay. Here we'll see the variation later, but for now, any other questions? Maybe for for me. Not that I would expect, but so here this is the position on the board. In case anyone is wondering, we also use this board to analyze, and yeah, it feels like it's very similar to the game between Dominguez and Svidler that we saw earlier. And black has 2 plans, either to go c3 or probably at some point in the right moment to take on f5 and simplify the game. But as Boris mentioned earlier, c3 would be a little bit committal for black. And now, without being able to play b4, white still has his plan of bringing the rook over and trying to generate some play on the king side. But and black doesn't seem to come to arrive very fast on the queen side. At least that's what I understood, and I don't feel like black has an immediate threat. So rook f3 feels like a very good waiting move. Another option, as Boris mentioned, is a4, which seems very concrete. And if black doesn't take the pawn, it will be an improvement for white because he gets to take and open up the a file for the rook. And already we have a move, as I'm mentioning these two. As I mentioned before, with Karyakin, he seems to always find these cunning moves that I don't predict. And he played the move h3, which is probably following the same logic. He wants to make a useful waiting move and ask black politely to show his hands before he does anything concrete, which is a good strategy in general, but even better when the pressure is on, because now Carlsen has some psychological pressure to show some plan or some active idea, and if he will play passively, then it feels like somewhat of a concession, at least mentally, if I were to be in his position. So the pressure is on Carlsen to find a plan. And yes, we have a question.
Why didn't he play rook f3 rather than h3?
Well,
I'm not Carlsen, of course.
me neither.
Yeah, but I mean, doesn't the move h3 take potential?
Why
from
not?
the rook when he does the rook moves?
So if I knew the answer, then I probably would have predicted h3, and I suspect the same would happen with Boris Gelfand here. But h3, sometimes it happens that we have one idea. Many different grandmasters, let's say, weak and strong, have the same common idea, and then the computer or another grandmasters come up with another move, and after seeing the move, we have this moment of, yeah, it makes sense, okay. And even though it didn't pop into our head, it still makes some sense. Of course, you can explain it now in retrospect, but I can't say exactly why it didn't jump to our head. It's just a matter of intuition, but the logic that I can come up with is, of course, the queen is protected, so it will be useful in some lines after, let's say, e takes f5 and rook f5. If you put pressure on this rook by some means, I can always, of course, this is not a good example, but let's say g6. So now I would have this tactic, for example, rook takes f6, as you can see, because after queen takes g4, I can go rook f8 intermediate, check, and win a piece. But with the other position, with the pawn on h2, my queen wouldn't be protected,